Jameis Winston to the Bucs. Quarterback at 2, Marcus Mariota to the Tennessee Titans. On the clock now, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars with the 3rd pick, and this is a pick that you can cross off any potential trades as far as I'm concerned. I think the Jags are locked into this pick, and they are going to run up to the podium and select either wide receiver Amari Cooper or wide receiver Kevin White. Most mock drafts have Dante Fowler Jr., defensive edge rusher, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just don't see how they could possibly go defense. Their defense was actually really good last year, top 12, 15 in almost every statistical category on the defensive side of the ball last year. They struggled on offense, and their first-round draft pick last year was Blake Bortles, quarterback. They have no number 1 wide receiver at all on the entire team roster. All they have is a bunch of depth guys that could maybe be a 2, 3, or a 4. So, to me, it makes all the sense in the world for them to take whoever they feel is the best wide receiver in this draft to be Blake Bortles' go-to guy and help him develop and grow and improve that offense over the next several years. So the only question then now becomes, which wide receiver do the Jacksonville Jaguars prefer? Are they Amari Cooper guys or are they Kevin White guys? I personally feel with the 3rd pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars will select Kevin White, wide receiver from West Virginia. He is 6'3" as opposed to Amari Cooper's 6'1". He's faster than Cooper, so he's bigger than faster. He's bigger and faster than Cooper. Cooper is a much more polished route runner. He's got great hands. He's got great character. Reminds me of a Jerry Rice or a Marvin Harrison type of wide receiver. Kevin White reminds me more of a Megatron type of receiver. And I think that when you have a first-round pick and you're debating between those kinds of things, you go with the guy with the highest ceiling, the biggest reward. That's what I think the Jags are going to do, and so again I have them drafting Kevin White, wide receiver, number 3. So, on the clock now is the Oakland Raiders at number 4. The Oakland Raiders are going to be ecstatic because they're going to, and they're also going to have one heck of a battle inside their war room. You're going to have two sides passionately arguing over who they should take, and they've only got 2 options here, and they love both options. Their 2 options are Amari Cooper or Kevin White, depending on, like I said, which ones the Jags, prefer. But in my mock draft, I have the Jags going with White over Cooper. So the Raiders will either be looking to take Amari Cooper, wide receiver, or what I think they're going to do, and they're going to sprint this up there and look around and laugh and go, how did we do this? At number 4, they're going to take the best player, defensively, offensively, entirely, in my opinion and in most people's opinion. At number 4, the Oakland Raiders select Leonard Williams, defensive lineman from USC. Now, like I said, the other option that could play out is they take Amari Cooper or Kevin White, whichever one they like more, if both is available, or the other one that Jacksonville doesn't take, if it goes that way. However, I think that with the defense they run and the amount of needs that they have at multiple positions, getting Leonard Williams to be your franchise anchor on your defensive line is invaluable. To get it at 4 could really help them turn around their team. You put him on the defensive line and Khalil Mack as your linebacker, and you've got some building blocks for an amazing defense, a dynasty caliber of defense possibly, if you don't go and mess it up, which I'm sure they will find a way to probably. But I don't think they can say no to it. And so that's what I got. Oakland Raiders at number 4 select Leonard Williams, defensive lineman from UFC. Now at number 5 on the clock is the Washington Redskins. Don't think for one second that the Redskins will trade for Mariota or consider drafting him should he still be available when they are picking. They are going defense all the way unless some crazy chance they decide to go with an offensive lineman such as Brandon Sheriff out of Iowa. However, I don't see that happening at all. They run a 3-4 defense. They're looking for, they need help on that 3-4 defense. All they got is Ryan Kerrigan, one of the outside linebackers. And so I have them taking edge rusher Dante Fowler Jr. at number 5. Well, it's like I said, a lot of people have him going 2 or 3. So they should be really happy with that, and he should fit their scheme as well. Like I said, they're a 3-4 defense, and he is the premier 3-4 edge rusher in this draft. So that's another one that would probably get ran up to the podium and they would be ecstatic about, unless there's a different 3-4 edge rusher that they have personally rated higher, which is possible, and we'll be getting to those guys real shortly. But so again, Washington Redskins at number 5 pick Dante Fowler Jr. On the clock at number 6 is the New York Jets. Again, no Mariota. It's all smokescreen. It's all sexiness and creating stories for the media. Don't buy into that for 1 second. Jets are going defense. They ain't going secondary. They're spending frickin' $10 million a year on Revis, $8 million a year on Cromartie, and $6 million a year on their nickelback Buster Skrine. So they ain't going secondary at all. And they're paying Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker a ton of money too, so they ain't going wide receiver either. They'd either go offensive line or defense. They're definitely going defense. They need to get better linebackers for that 3-4. Todd Bowles, their new head coach, formerly defensive coordinator of Arizona Cardinals the last several years, ran a 3-4 there. That's where they're going. They're going defensive side of the ball. They're going linebacker, unless they happen to love someone on the front line, but I think they're pretty set there as well. So I got the New York Jets at number 6 taking Randy Gregory, edge rushing outside linebacker from Nebraska. He failed a UA a month or so ago. That's if you're recognizing him, that's where you've heard that name pop up. However, I don't think that's going to affect his draft stock really at all. They don't face any type of suspension for that whatsoever. They just get put in the system for more testing than the average person would in the future. So I think they feel that Randy Gregory is the best guy on the board for them that they like. I'm not saying he's the best guy at that position on the board there, but I think that's who they like the most and who they're going to go with. So Randy Gregory at number 6 to the New York Jets. That brings us to number 7, the Chicago Bears. Boo. Now, this is one of 2 picks that I have had underlined, locked in on my mock draft for over a month, and it made me so happy yesterday to be going through other people's mock drafts and seeing that they had all finally come around and locked this one in. It is unquestionably what the Bears will do if they are smart and disciplined. I believe that they are disciplined. I don't know if I'd say that they're smart, but I think they're at least disciplined enough to make the right choice here and not go with a wide receiver, even though my draft still has Cooper available yet. I don't think they're going to go wide receiver to replace Brandon Marshall, because this wide receiver class is too talented and too deep. Once you get past the first 3 guys who are guaranteed first-rounders, there are another 10 to 15 guys that all have first-round talent or first-round potential, at least. So the second and third rounds of this draft are where a smart team with multiple needs is going to be getting their wide receivers, not the first round. You can also wipe out a Cutler versus Mariota trade. That ain't going to happen. Tennessee ain't going to take Jay Cutler. They'd rather have Mariota. Now, Phillip Rivers, that could be a different story, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's just too unrealistic. But so, at 7, to establish the foundation for their new 3-4 defense, which has nobody up front whatsoever, the Chicago Bears will take Danny Shelton, nose tackle, out of Washington. And if they don't, they are dumb, and they made a mistake. I'm telling you right now, that's the guy for them. And if they don't get that guy, they might still be okay. They might still find a good guy somewhere else. But it ain't going to be the best fit. He is by far the best fit for their needs and their scheme. And he should have a big circle with a star, and like their first round big board should look like the eye chart at the doctor, where you got that big freaking E on the top and then it all just gets smaller as you look down it. That's what the Bears big board should look like for the first round, and the name at the big E at the top should say Danny Shelton, nose tackle out of the University of Washington. So that's where the Bears go at 7, and it is a great pick, actually. Way to go, Bears, if you do that. So that puts us At the 8th overall pick in the first round, on the clock now is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons could go offensive line. However, they took an offensive lineman in the first round last year, and he's looking fairly good. So highly unlikely that you take another one 2 years in a row, especially when you got your left tackle from last year. If you're taking a lineman in the first round, generally you're looking for a left tackle. The other ones can be found in other rounds. So almost 100% guarantee that Atlanta, who was the worst defense in the league, I want to say, if I remember correctly, goes defense here. There are plenty of good defenses players available. They need pass rush, edge rush. So I have them taking Vic Beasley, outside linebacker, edge rusher, out of Clemson, I want to say, is the college he attends. And he is a physical beast. A little bit of technique and motor questions there, but I don't have too many concerns on him whatsoever. I think he's got all the tools to make it so long as he gets coached right and has a decent attitude. All right, so now things get really dicey. Number 9 here on the clock, we have the New York Giants. And number 9, the New York Giants have made a trade. That's right, my mock can do trades. And so I have the New York Giants trading the 9th overall pick in the draft to the Cleveland Browns for their number 12 pick in the draft, as well as some mid-rounders this year and next year to be named later and completely irrelevant for this discussion because it doesn't cost them their other 19th one. So I have Cleveland trading with the New York Giants at number 9. Now the Cleveland Browns are on the clock at number 9, and they are racing up to the podium to draft Amari Cooper, wide receiver from Alabama. As I mentioned earlier, many people have Cooper as the best wide receiver in the draft. He is almost certainly the safest pick at wide receiver in the draft with the most guaranteed payoff and minimal risk. However, like I said, he does not have great size. He doesn't have blazing speed, but he is solid at everything. And I also feel that regardless of if Kevin White is the first receiver off the board or if Amari Cooper is the first receiver off the board, I believe that one of those two will still be available at 9 and that Cleveland will trade up to get whichever of those two is still available. And I have it being Amari Cooper. So again, the New York Giants in my mock draft trade the 9th pick to the Cleveland Browns for their 12th pick. In turn, the Cleveland Browns at number 9 select wide receiver Amari Cooper. Congratulations, Cleveland Browns. That moves us up to number 10, and the St. Louis Rams are on the clock. They are a team that could also move down or even potentially up if there is someone they're in love with. However, they tend to trade down. I don't think they will trade anywhere, actually. I think they're going to stay locked in based on how it's playing out, and they are going to help make up the Vikings' mind for them. And the St. Louis Rams at number 10 will draft Brandon Sheriff, offensive lineman from Iowa. He can be your starting left guard Pro Bowler right away. He can also be your starting right tackle right away. And he can also get moved over to your franchise left tackle at some point in time. St. Louis did draft a tackle last year. However, you're required to play 5 offensive linemen, and the one they drafted last year is pretty much the only one out of the 5 they have that is any good. And so with Sheriff's versatility as well as his talent level, I feel that he is a no-brainer for the St. Louis Rams at number 10, who need almost nothing on defense. The only other choice there would be a wide receiver for them, possibly Devontae Parker, or if Cooper or White would continue to slide. However, again, I have St. Louis staying at 10 and taking offensive lineman Brandon Sheriff. So that brings us to the 11th pick in the NFL Draft, and on the clock, the Minnesota Vikings, my team, our team, your team, hopefully, if you're from Minnesota at least. Anyway, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock at number 11, and Spielman said it yesterday. GM Rick Spielman said it yesterday in his press conference that he would love to trade down from this pick. That wasn't any kind of news whatsoever. That's his tendency anyway, is to make trades, especially trading down in the first round. I feel that based off of our needs, not just for this first round, but our entire team needs that we're looking to address, address in this draft that it is without question in our best interest to trade down from 11